in his last failing days in Ravenna, watching dawn roused the birds of paradise. What Einstein did, risking his life in Berlin's anarchic streets to contemplate sunlight's path to Earth, and what Mary Evershed did on her Indian hilltop, deciphering the works of these three adventurers while observing sunspots, eclipses, and solar prominences. My passion for the writings of Dante, particularly the Divine Comedy, is widely shared among contemporary poets and literary scholars. Every year, new English translations of the comedy appear, including in 2004 a version by Sandow Birk and Marcus Sanders, and illustrated by Birk such that hell is filled with ATMs and McDonald's French fries. Eminent poets such as W.S. Merwin and Edward Hirsch have testified that Dante feels to them very much like a peer, the themes of his work remaining inexhaustible. Hirsch cites the radical audacity of Dante's imagination and the seriousness and gravity of his epic task. Although Dante as a national bard, a canonical figure whose work is recited by school children and engraved on Italian monuments, leaves me untouched, Hirsch says. I have been overwhelmingly affected by Dante's story of himself descending into the bowels of the earth and emerging like Job to tell the story of his strange journey. Dante can be read as a religious poet or a political poet, or he can be read in non-ideological terms, as a marvelous observer of human behavior and as a master portraitist. His infatuation with Beatrice Portinari remains a favorite romantic tale among readers, as evidenced by Harriet Rubin's popular treatment of it in Dante in Love in 2004. In recent years, I have been excited to learn that Dante charms scientists as much as he does literary practitioners. Writers such as the mathematician Mark A. Peterson, the science historian Edward Grant, and the historian William Egginton have argued persuasively that Dante's medieval concepts of the shape of the universe strike contemporary astronomers as astonishingly prescient. At some deep level, poetry and physics are similar endeavors, Peterson writes. Dante's universe is almost unbelievably apt and accurate. I became curious as to why and how this came to be the case, a curiosity kindled by the simple desire to understand more clearly the specific astronomical references in the Divine Comedy. Some years ago, my pursuit led me to an author named M.A. Orr. I learned that she had published a useful reference book in 1913 called Dante and the Early Astronomers. I ordered an out-of-print copy through my local bookstore. The book proved to be a marvelous concoction of poetry and science, and I found myself as intrigued by the author as I was by the book's erudition. The edition I had found included a 5-page introduction by the Dante scholar Barbara Reynolds. She revealed little about M.A. Orr, just enough to stir my imagination. Who was this woman? A late Victorian-era lady sitting on a remote mountain outpost in India, writing about Dante as though he were an astronomer. This question set me on a decade-long journey to find traces of M.A. Orr, later known as Mary Acworth. By locating distant relatives in rural England and corresponding with archivists at the Science Museum in Wroughton, Wiltshire, the Royal Astronomical Society in London, and the Kodaikanal Solar Observatory in India, I eventually managed to piece together a portrait of this remarkable person. Like Dante, Mary is a figure from the past whose story retains an extraordinarily contemporary flavor. As a woman excluded from fulfilling many of her professional ambitions because of cultural biases, and particularly as a woman trying to make her way in the sciences, she speaks to the experience of many women today. Mary's life interweaves political history, cultural history, and the history of ideas. It illuminates